L'Angeli Show.
In the 40-plus years that I've been in the news business, I have never seen it more biased, more slanted toward the left than it is now. It's really a disgrace.
Of the liberal media. Who are they? They are ABC, NBC, CBS. They are CNN, MSNBC. There's the LA Times, the New York Times, USA Today. Those are the main powerhouses.
The news beyond my lies, falsehoods, and fabrication.
And what's been happening in our politics lately, it's not an accident. For years we've been told we should be angry about America, and that the economy is a disaster, and that we're weak, and that compromise is weakness, and that you can ignore science, and you can ignore facts, and say whatever you want about the president.
I think you've set a new bar today for being contentious with the press corps, kind of calling us losers to our faces and all that.
No, not all of you, just many of you.
All right, fine. Enough of us. Is this what it's going to be like covering you if you're president?
Yeah, it is. Let me tell you,
we're going to have this kind of confrontation in the press room?
Okay, yeah, it is going to be like this, David. If the press writes false stories like they did where I wanted to keep a low profile, I didn't want the credit for raising all this money for the vets. I wasn't looking for the credit. And by the way, more money is coming in. I wasn't looking for the credit. But I had no choice but to do this because the press was saying I didn't raise any money for them. Not only did I raise it, much of it was given a long time ago. And there is a vetting process, and I think you understand that. And then we have to read probably libelous stories, or certainly close, in the newspapers, and the people know the stories are false. I'm going to continue to attack the press. Look, I find the press to be extremely dishonest. I find the political press to be unbelievably dishonest. I will say that.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Brock Lawley program. My name is Brock Lawley. I am your fearless host. We are going to cover some news headlines, but before we jump into them, my fellow Americans, what we're actually going to do is listen to President-elect lay out clearly, in the midst of all this hot noise, lay out clearly the agenda, lay out clearly the transition. And I got to tell you, I love. I mean, there's stories in the stacks that are frustrating me by way of Trump, specifically in how, in some ways, he's dealing with the press. I mean, I got to tell you, I could just scream conservative after conservative. Certainly in the past, just making every mistake, falling into every bear trap. And it's just frustrating for me because they have no credibility. They should be given no trust, zero trust. The only goal should be to destroy them, period. Full stop. Destroy the press. There isn't any compromise. There isn't any working with them. There isn't any of that. They will not be fair. There's not this gray area or hoping they're going to change. That's just gone. Destroy. Scorched earth. Anyway, Donald Trump, at least in many instances, is going around the press. This is exactly what Ronald Reagan did, which is exactly what I hope this president did, the president-elect Trump does. It's what he did in his campaign. It's why he won. Let's listen to his YouTube video, which is now super-duper, mega, supernova viral. Let's check this out.
I think you've set a new bar today.
Today, I would like to provide the American people with an update on the White House transition and our policy plans for the first 100 days. Our transition team is working very smoothly, efficiently, and effectively. Truly great and talented men and women, patriots indeed, are being brought in, and many will soon be a part of our government, helping us to make America great again. My agenda will be based on a simple core principle: putting America first. Whether it's producing steel, building cars, or curing disease, I want the next generation of production and innovation to happen right here on our great homeland, America, creating wealth and jobs for American workers. As part of this plan, I've asked my transition team to develop a list of executive actions we can take on day one to restore our laws and bring back our jobs. It's about time. These include the following. On trade, I am going to issue our notification of intent to withdraw from the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a potential disaster for our country. Instead, we will negotiate fair bilateral trade deals that bring jobs and industry back onto American shores. On energy, I will cancel job-killing restrictions on the production of American energy, including shale energy and clean coal, creating many millions of high-paying jobs. That's what we want. That's what we've been waiting for. On regulation, I will formulate a rule which says that for every one new regulation, Two old regulations must be eliminated. So important. On national security, I will ask the Department of Defense and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff to develop a comprehensive plan to protect America's vital infrastructure from cyber attacks and all other form of attacks. On immigration, I will direct the Department of Labor to investigate all abuses of visa programs that undercut the American worker. On ethics reform, as part of our plan to drain the swamp, we will impose a 5-year ban on executive officials becoming lobbyists after they leave the administration, and a lifetime ban on executive officials lobbying on behalf of a foreign government. These are just a few of the steps we will take to reform Washington and rebuild our middle class. I will provide more updates in the coming days as we work together to make America great again for everyone, and I mean everyone.
Guys, I can't tell you how much I like it. The 3 things I love, right? And I love Trump. Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, substance, substance. Go around the cacophony of communist crickets that is the media. Go around them, speak directly to the American people, use the bully pulpit, use Twitter, do whatever you have to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I love the fact that these bureaucratic Washington, D.C., crustified, calcified insiders are not allowed to turn around and lobby and leverage their power to line their own pocketbooks and feather the nest. I love that. Are not allowed for 5 years. I think they should never be allowed, but I love this. I absolutely love this. I love the energy policy. Energy, more energy, and new energy. Energy, energy, energy. Who cares about the greenies? Who cares about their nonsense? I care about poor people getting energy. I care about poor nations getting energy. I care about cheap energy because that means food's going to be better. That means products are going to be better. Most of this green gone wild stuff is total nonsense. And lastly, regulations. Every time you want to spit out another regulation from the butthole of Washington, D.C., you got to 86 2-3 regulations. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. This is what you do. You go scorched earth on Washington, D.C. I love the talking heads I'm listening on TV. Everything he's doing is unprecedented. It's just out of the norm. It's disrespecting what we've come to know in Washington. These guys are beside themselves, as if Americans care about that. They speak of these processes or these normal ways of doing things as though they're like sacred in some way, and as though the American people are like, oh my gosh, Donald Trump is doing it differently than it used to be. Donald Trump is not paying reverence to these calcified crooks, these money laundering, bribing, graft-oriented mob bosses in Washington, that he's not doing things to their approval. Do you think the American people care? They get on TV and they speak to you as if you're going to care about that. Do you understand that Donald Trump is very unprecedented for what we normally see or usually see in a transition? Who cares? That's exactly why he's there. I got to tell you, the cluelessness, just as a normal, rational thinking person, the cluelessness is breathtaking. But there it is. Gotta love it, gotta love it, gotta love it. Let's jump into the stories, ladies and gentlemen. So this one hits home. I lived in Columbus for a long time. In fact, I lived in a town next to Westerville, which is where this guy is from. Look, there's these huge Islamic pockets in Ohio. And here's what happened. There was refugee programs, and they settled the Somalian refugees, the Muslim Somalian refugees, in various pockets throughout the country. There's some in Minnesota, and there's a huge, and I'm talking thousands, in Ohio, specifically in a town called Westerville, Ohio, which neighbored the town that I once lived in. Now, I always knew this was going to pop off. Why? I spent a lot of time in the Middle East. I know the culture. I understand what Islam is, and political correctness does negative zero to impact my mind. So I know I'm looking at this clearly and soberly. And I always knew this. The public schools in this area are having all kinds of problems assimilating the Somalian refugees and their children because the Sharia law is not recognized. You have women walking in and out of grocery stores in Westerville in complete and total Muslim guard beekeeper outfits. Look, it is going to pop off. I always knew it, and yesterday it did in Ohio State. You know, it was exactly what these ISIS sort of internet troll strategy sessions wanted to happen. Which is using Blade. And if you think Blade's a joke, you know, a lot of people are like, Blade, who cares about Blade? You get a maniac start swinging a blade at you, try to defend yourself from that. It's no joke. Luckily, the police put this guy down like a rabies-bitten dog, which is exactly what should have happened. And already the left's out there, and I kid you not, this is hilarious. This is your leftist, right? This is your leftist mind. The left shrieks about more senseless gun violence. This is not a joke. This is in the Federalist. They're reporting this. Despite the fact there was no gun used in the crime. And anybody who says anything about Islam is Islamophobic. Even though the kid screamed Islamic, he's doing it because of Islam. He's doing it because of ISIS. He's doing it in service of the great Allah. But if you say anything about Islam, this is how the left responds. This is why listen, regardless of your politics, the left can be nowhere near power until all this changes. Now, I don't think they should ever be near power, but I live in a democracy. But what I'm telling you as a rational person is regardless of your politics, anybody, listen to me, anybody, this is any political persuasion, anybody who hears a story about a radical Islamist killing people in the name of Islam in a jihad with a blade, and the two things they follow that realization up with is we need to ban guns because there's senseless gun violence, and anybody who says anything about Islam is Islamophobic, that person cannot be trusted in any position of power. That mindset, that ideology, that perversion of reality, that sickness of the head. Leftism has become a sickness of a head, a detachment from reality. Listen, I don't care about your politics. I'm telling you reality here. When you follow up a statement like a terrorist act in Columbus, when you follow that up with you're Islamophobic and we need gun legislation, you're insane. You're not differing of opinion. You don't have a difference of political appetite. You're mentally insane. You're so politically ravenous that you cannot be politically trusted with any power. I'm just telling you, this is the truth. This is the truth. Again, the Federalist has an amazing piece on that. Nonetheless, NBC spouting off ridiculous nonsense about it. If you want to check that out, if you want the actual real scoop, I always turn you to British papers because they're the only ones calling it as it is. The American press is just the true deplorables, I'll say. dailymail.co.uk is where I'll actually send you for the truth. Trump, ladies and gentlemen, makes another solid pick, another solid conservative pick. My man Tom Price, just amazing. And you can tell, the more the left reacts to the pick, the more solid it is. If the left ever says, man, we really love this, you know it's a weak pick, and we're getting hosed as conservatives. Tom Price is going to wreak havoc on Obamacare, and that's good for Americans. A policy that's despised by 82% of the American people. The American people don't agree on 82% of anything. That's how horrible Obamacare is. And already the left's out there, we're not going to tolerate anybody who dismantles Obamacare. Well, you're going to have to settle in to not tolerating it. Because it's happening whether you like it or not. Because you lost power, and not only did you lose power, you lost power big time. So there's going to be some changes, baby. And Barack Obama's crown jewel of liberal fail is going in the toilet. Obama fail is horrible. It's crushing the poor. It's crushing people. It's crushing mothers. It's crushing everybody. It's crushing businesses. It is a turd. It is a big pile of fecal matter. It is horrible. Can I say anything else worse about it? Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Price, awesome pick. Another home run, another grand slam. Loving that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, huge opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to shape the federal courts, getting right to filling these positions. The 104 vacancies. This is the whole ball game, ladies and gentlemen. This is how the left controls your country. They stack courts. Donald Trump needs to control these courts to save America. What do we want with the courts? Constitutionalists. People who obey the law. People who don't put leftism first, but put law first. People who look at actual law. Even the Jewish Torah says, you look at the law. You don't project all of your leftist rabble-rousing into the decision. The left's like, we need judges who are going to see the nuance of things. Equal sign liberalism. Equal sign liberalism. All you want to hear is justice, not social justice, not racial justice, not economic justice. No, just justice. Justice if your skin is white. Justice if your skin is black. Justice if you're rich. Justice if you're poor. Do you know why Lady Justice has a blindfold around her eyes? Because she's supposed to be blind. She's supposed to be blind, ladies and gentlemen. Justice. Real justice. Not leftism. Don't be confused. Now the left is squirming and kicking, and we're going to get to all the stories. Just beat face, not because you're not going to be well served. Not because the United States isn't going to be restored to glory, and the United States economy isn't going to be restored to prosperity, and that law will continue to and that Aslan's breath will breathe over all the statues of stone that leftism has created. No. You know why they're upset? They're upset because leftism is going to be dismantled. They're upset because don't mistake the two. They're going to use, that's what the trick will be. They're going to use language that appeals to you. They're going to, all of a sudden, Republicans are going to hate old people. Well, the Republicans are not going to hate old people. It's just about their power. What that means is actual health care will be delivered that doesn't always have to go through the turnstiles and toll booths of the government. That's all that means. It doesn't mean anything more and anything less. It's going to be children. If you try to touch education, right, it's going to be, we hate children. The same nonsense. They will use people, much like terrorists use human shields, they'll use people to defend their calcified, crustified, evil, corrupt power. But they never actually care about the people they're leveraging. You understand me? They don't care about children. They don't care about old people. If they would have cared about children and old people, they would have taken the $2 trillion they spent on graft and bribery that we now call the Affordable Care Act, and they would have spent it on actually insuring people. They would have spent it on actual health care, but they didn't do that. No, they lined the pockets of their corrupt unions. They lined the pockets of themselves. That's why Barack Obama's going to go in a poor man and come out a multi-millionaire, because the left is all about power, period. Listen, say it together. Leftism cares about power, period. When you get them upset, it means you're touching their power. It has nothing to do whatsoever with people. Nothing to do with people. Ladies and gentlemen, Stevens has an amazing piece in the Wall Street Journal. The real Cuba. The real Cuba. This man murdered homosexuals. This man was a racist. This man slaughtered the old. This man's responsible for 50,000 innocent deaths. He would throw you in prison if you said anything bad about him. If you were even suspected, if somebody even accused you of being a dissident, your parents or your relatives could lose limbs in prison. Ladies and gentlemen, I interviewed about a year ago a Cuban refugee. If you want to listen to that, it's one of the podcasts closest to this one. You can go down and listen to that. The left, they love big government. All right, they love somebody who wields big government. They love totalitarianism. They love it. They love like an elite, charismatic sort of posture over policy, sort of power over purpose. They love that. They love a cult of personality, which explains Barack Obama. So Castro fits. It hits every note in the chorus that they love to sing. He's a big personality. He used government. He loves leftism. He hates America. That's why they love Castro. Not because Castro is a good guy. Castro is an evil despot monster. But leftism loves wielding big government, loves using big elite government, people who think they're better than everybody else, people who chase utopia. And so you're going to continue to hear them praise leftism because, look, they like Castro. If you have to crack a few eggs in making a utopian omelet, they could care less. The point is the utopian omelet. That's why things like Obamacare happen. Because they don't care if people's health care costs go through the roof. That means government is in control of 1/6 of the economy, and that's the point, and that's the purpose. Understand, disrobe leftism, and you will see a scrawny, evil, purposeless little skeleton like dressed up like a king, naked and disclosed. Ladies and gentlemen, with the next 4 years, your media will continue to pound the drum of leftism, but it must be you. It must be you who disrobes the lies and exposes the evil. Look, we are being aided right now with the shenanigans of the left. They're beside themselves. They're unnerved, right? I mean, recall efforts, and we're going to get to all this. I mean, everything they're doing for the last 2 weeks is making them look horrible. So there's an opportunity, because that's really what leftism is. It's all projection, right? You remember when they talked about recall elections? You remember when they talked about it as a moral duty to accept the election? See, that was all projection. You see what they were doing? Back when they were saying that, they were thinking that Donald Trump was going to lose, and they were trying to head off the bus. But it turns out they had demons in themselves. They weren't going to accept elections. They were going to strong arm power. They were the ones that were projecting their evil, their lack of respect for the democracy, their lack of respect for the voice of the people upon other people, their political opponents, which is what they always do, right? And this is manifesting itself right now for all of America to see, right? Now, Hillary Clinton signs on, not because Hillary Clinton wants to. You listen to the media. I love this. This is how this is shaping up. This is how I just listen to NPR, I listen to ABC, I listen to NBC, I listen to CBS, I listen to MSNBC, all of them posture this whole turn of events the same way. Let me break it down for you. This is how it is. This is a lesson to be learned in leftist media. Ready? Here's how it goes. In the news today, Jill Stein is heading a benign effort, a recall effort, to make sure that our elections are trusted. I mean, after all, we need trusted elections. You know, Hillary Clinton has signed on with this, but Hillary Clinton doesn't really want a recall election that we just told you she signed on with. No. Don't believe your eyes. Believe this status nonsense that's about to roll off my lips. No, she just wants to make sure everything's on the up and up. But bear in mind, I repeat, Hillary Clinton just signed on for a recall election that Hillary Clinton doesn't want. So that way she gets to have it both ways. She's not a radical totalitarian that's sore losing and not accepting the election after she just said a day after the election, 2 days after the election, that she would. She's not a blatant hypocrite, power-hungry monster. No, she's not. She's noble, you see. She's noble. Now, in another story, Donald Trump is pointing out that there were all kinds of illegal voting that emerged, which just so happens to be true. Dead people, illegal voting by the left, which has been happening for decades, that's actually true. Donald Trump said it. Now, how dare he says this? There's no evidence to support this. Why is Donald Trump not forced to support and evidence his hyperbolic claims? Now, bear in mind, I just told you that Jill Stein and Hillary Clinton are actually conducting recall elections. In that regard, you don't have to prove any intent. You just do it because you want to do it. Why? Because it'll undermine Trump's presidency. It'll continue to galvanize the country and divide the country. It'll continue to throw Molotov cocktails at the sitting president. That's why they're actually doing it. But that's not. Do they need to provide any evidence for this? No! It's all noble, you see. It's all protecting the integrity of the vote. Donald Trump, however, points out the obvious, that there are illegal corpses voting in elections. And by the way, that's the reason that they were able to present Hillary Clinton with the popular vote when she really didn't have the popular vote. Donald Trump is the villain. Do you see? Hillary Clinton and Jill Stein conduct recall elections, but Donald Trump is the villain. So will go every headline, ladies and gentlemen. So will go every reporting from here until Donald Trump leaves power, from now until leftists regain power. Why? Because it has nothing to do with truth. It has everything to do with leftism in power. Makes sense? Now that I told you that, you watch. You watch for that exact wording. You watch for that exact layout. It will be word for word. And by the way, you can helicopter this exact framework into every story. Every story. They will rabble-rouse. They will create problems, in this case, a recount election, which there's no reason for a recount election. In the state I am broadcasting you from, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump won the state by 80,000 votes. 80,000 votes. There is absolutely no explanation other than Hillary Clinton got defeated in a landslide defeat. But they will create contention. They will create rabble-rousing, and then if there's any reaction to this, then, oh my gosh, Donald Trump is an acting presidential. He's reacting to this leftism. He's reacting to this leftist-created problem. If there are people in the streets burning down property, and Donald Trump says they shouldn't burn down property, it won't be the burn down property. That won't be the story. It'll be Donald Trump's reaction. How unpresidential is it for him to react to this? Do you understand how this goes? You understand this? This is going to be the formula. Ladies and gentlemen, in global warming nonsense news, global warming about to come into complete extinction by scientific reality. What I mean by that is global warming will come to a screeching halt. A screeching halt according to what? NASA data. NASA data, a.k.a. science. But does this matter at all to the leftist talking point? Absolutely not. It will continue and study on. The fact that there hasn't been any warming hasn't stopped anything. The fact that all the models have been wrong hasn't stopped anything. The fact that all this stuff has been proven to be a billionaire's green club to enrich themselves and grow government hasn't stopped anything. It has never had anything to do with the environment. So environmental factors and scientific factors will have absolutely nothing to do with the debate whatsoever. It's about leftism. It's about growing government. Period. Period. It has nothing to do with science. It has nothing to do with data. It has nothing to do with models. It has nothing to do with the environment. It has nothing to do with responsible, global, green, gone wild rhetoric. It has everything to do with, again, what's the formula? Leftism, commandeering power. Period. That's all this ever has to do with. Daily Mail, again, reporting this. You're only going to get this stuff in the European papers. Again, NASA, this is how this headline should read. Scientific data proves leftist fear-mongering and power-grabbing using junk science and hijacking real science. NASA data rebuts leftist climate change, global warming nonsense. Scientific data exposes leftist polluting of what we all need in a healthy scientific debate. NASA data proves no global warming. But that's not how it will read, because it's not about the environment and it's not about global warming. And so this will continue to steady on. Second verse, same as the secular extremist first. Period. Daily Mail has that story, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, even the New Yorker, just as a recall, even the New Yorker says the recall effort is stupid. Even the New Yorker, they do it with a bunch of Upper East Side snarky remarks, and they take a bunch of slap shots at Trump. But even the New Yorker, the left-wing commie rag New Yorker, says this is ridiculous. Ladies and gentlemen, Heather McDonald, who pound for pound is one of the best journalists writing. This printed in cityjournal.org. It is actually the Democrats and Obama who have radicalized this country, who have divided this country. And no place is it more obvious than in the university, where they have turned the university into a speech code. Free speech is dead. Witch hunt McCarthyism on steroids. If you don't do what the left says, if you don't say what the left says, if you don't print what the left says, if you don't think what the left says, if you don't publish what the left says, you will be hunted pitchfork and tar and feather in hand. That's not hyperbolic. That's not exaggeration. They are descending on conservative press professors' offices and demanding resignations because these professors are brave enough to call this stuff out. Ladies and gentlemen, you've never seen groupthink. You've never seen intellectual inbreeding until you step into a leftist university. Never, ladies and gentlemen. And lastly, the leftist boy band president up in Canada, embarrassing himself again on the world stage, attempting to walk back his Castro's comments, but not really walking them back if you actually read it. Leftism is such a disease, ladies and gentlemen. It must be defeated. The media must be defeated. There is no compromising with them. There is no meeting them halfway. They need to be defeated. It should be defeat them all the time. Not because you hate leftism, and not because you hate Democrats, and not because you hate the Democratic Party, but because leftism crushes freedom. Leftism crushes the poor. Leftism crushes people. Leftism crushes freedom. Leftism crushes innovation. Leftism crushes everything that we've built in the West, everything that democracies hold dear, everything that the Constitution holds dear, everything that prosperity holds dear. They just do. They're opposed to it. They're anti-American, big government elitist. They need to be stopped. The media is nothing more than a tentacle, nothing more than a mouthpiece for them. Ladies and gentlemen, you're how that happens. Listen, do not undermine your own ability. You and people like you got Donald Trump elected. You pulled off one of the greatest upsets in human history. The left is beside themselves because of the power of your courage. Don't stop. Double your efforts. You are the new media. Ladies and gentlemen, be a people of fortitude, be a people of character, be a people of courage. Visit Brock on Twitter at A Courage Culture. Facebook. And the Atheist Antidote delivers YouTube videos to push back on the secular nonsense. Take it to the bank.